Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of the Saints Nation podcast after a great win against the Tigers at Marvel Stadium in Maddie's match. What a great way to end the 10 years of Maddie's match with 41,000 in attendance. And what a great game as well. 93 points we scored in the second half. And what do we think of the game, guys?
I was very happy. I wasn't really expecting to see an absolute demolition like it was, especially that second half. I was expecting something more along the lines of the first half and then a little bit more of what we saw in the second half, in the last quarter. But I thought with some of the coaching decisions we made, it really allowed us to get our ball movement going, and Ross really showed why he's a fantastic coach and that he knows our system really well and that he's able to implement it with the players, because contrasting the first and second half, completely different teams.
True.
Completely different teams. So I think he's shown that he knows exactly where we need to go. He knows what levers he can switch. And I think that now we've found some scoring boosts in the forward line. It's really promising for when we get fully healthy.
And what do you think about our scoring boost? Obviously, a lot is made about our scoring when King is in the team versus isn't. Do you think that's more of a King issue? So for when King comes back into the team, he could come back in next week against the Power. Do you think it's more of a King issue, or do you think it's more of a team being too King focused issue?
King 100% could improve off of what he'd been producing,
Which I think most people agree with.
Yeah, I don't think that's in question whatsoever. But again, it's also players weren't lifting alongside him. Like Cooper Sharman didn't do what he did towards the back end of the year. Tim Membry was never performing alongside Max King. Jack Higgins was always missing his set shots. Like, the players just weren't doing what they are at the moment when they were playing with Max King. And we also just couldn't kick the ball next to him at all.
Yeah, true.
So, it's a bit of both, I think, is the best way to put it.
What do you think, Cooper? Do you think it's a King issue, or do you think it's a team issue?
Probably a team issue. I think King's so much talent around him already, so I don't think he has to do anything different besides just present and attack the ball more than he did a bit last year, but he had a shoulder injury to probably stop him a bit. But yeah, I think the team just needs to work around him as more than he has to work around the team.
Yeah, that's fair. And obviously we've smashed them by, was it in the end, 82 points. And the one thing the media has been running with is, for every Richmond game, is that they are so young, but the average age for both teams was exactly 24.26. So we had the exact same age profile as Richmond, and Richmond had 15 players in their 23 with under 100 games, and we had 14. So I think that shows off just how good our youth is. And if you look at the goal scorers for the game,
Oh yeah, sorry.
Mitch Owens is young. Mason Wood is very old. Well, not very old, but he just feels like the dad of the group.
He's the perfect age for me.
Jack Higgins.
He's prime.
Jack Higgins is hitting his prime. Lance Collard was drafted 2 years ago. Max Hall is a mature ager, but he's about 22. Sharman, again, a mature ager. Brad Hill on the older side, I think the same age, 31. And then Isaac Keeler, who's in his third year now?
Yeah, 20 years old.
Yeah, about
So
to
if you look at
21.
that, the players who got it done, at least on the scoring end, were all pretty young, fitting in that 24 and under group.
And you're still missing like two players in that forward line with King and Henry, and Butler. Sorry,
and Philippo, who plays forward mid.
True.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. So about
all
4.
of them, apart from Butler, are all under 24 and under.
Yeah.
So again, that's more 24 and under talent. So a lot of the conversation after this game is, just how young Richmond are.
Yeah.
But it was also our young players that stood up in this game as well. But one of the more mature ages that stood up a lot and had a career best game, in my opinion, was Jack Sinclair with his career high of 40 touches.
Yep.
And what do we think of that?
You can start, Cooper.
I'll start. So he just found his own ball basically the whole game. He wasn't really he was untouched off half back and just facilitated the ball so much throughout the game, and he was more involved in our scoring than I've ever seen him.
Yeah.
He could have kicked one or two himself, but he passed them off, and I think he was really good.
I think there was some criticism online from what I saw saying, like, he's not that good of a kick and that he's just getting uncontested ball off of half-back. First of all, that's his job.
Yeah.
His job is to be the player who goes on the outside, and he's still pretty good one-on-one when he needs to be, but his game's on the outside, so there's no need for him to be a contested player. And the other thing is, he's a fantastic kick. He allows players to be able to, A, protect their own space, and B, he forces the forwards into the space that he wants them to be in.
True.
So I remember the one kick he had to roll Marshall where Marshall kicked the goal. Marshall had to dive to his left, but it made it so that no defender could get to the ball, and it was only him. That's the sort of kick that you want. That's the play you want the ball in his hands. So I think, again, he's proving why our development staff can get it right, and that from what he was 5 years ago, was a small forward, to what he is now, one of the best halfback flankers in the league.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of the best stories we've seen out of the club in a long time.
Yeah. And when our halfbacks are on, like, our ball movement is perfect. Like, you can see against Adelaide, Sinclair didn't have the best of games. I think he only had 19. Naz as well wasn't at his best, and we got smashed. And these past 2 weeks, Sinclair and Messiah hasn't exactly been at his best, but he's still been very good.
He had a poor first half, I'd say, with the ball, which is, off his standards, is pretty poor. But I think the second half, he really came into his own and played really well.
Yeah. Is that a worry, Messiah's ball movement at spurts? I've noticed it a few times this year. Is he getting a bit too overconfident, always wanting to go for the highlight kick instead of just the simple one?
I think the good outweighs the bad in that. So I think I'm more than happy for him to have a couple of horrible kicks when he has about 10 good ones in that. But and also it just brings his value a bit down. So that's that extension at the end of the year, just a little bit more down. So it works out.
Hey, Port Adelaide, make sure you watch those highlights, not the good ones. I mean, we always see it where players make mistakes. Problem is where he's kicking it, it's always taking the risk.
Yeah.
Like, I remember it was the one where he just skied it in the air, like right at the edge of the 50 in the square, and it just wasn't the right kick.
Yeah.
But again, he's only 21. Like, he's still got so much room to improve. So I think you take the bad with the good, because there is so much of it.
Exactly. Like, he can be a bit silly with his kicks, but he'll never, like, just directly hit an opponent or kick it out of bounds.
No. You go.
I'd be surprised at the end of the year if they're not both in the AA discussion at least.
Yeah.
Both, I reckon it's the best best halfback duo in the league. So
for sure,
we have a few in conversation right now. It might be something we touch on a bit later, but Jack Sinclair played good. So did Jack McRae in his third game for the Saints.
Been the best midfielder all year.
Yep.
Kane Corns
doesn't want to play in mid, Kane. I don't know why.
He's not a midfielder. He's not a midfielder.
He's second in disposals, second in clearances, second in handballs, third in score involvement, something crazy like that.
You just go into, you press the player profile on the AFL app, and it's all elite. That's all you need.
Yeah. And what did we give up for him? Pick in the 40s?
Which we basically got back anyway after the NGAs.
Yeah.
His ground ball gets so good. Like, he is one of the, I don't know how, but I've never seen a mid that we've had that just, when it's on the ground, picks it up perfectly, perfect handball out. It's so good.
Yeah. I think part of the reason why we struggled so much in the first half is given A, Steele was out, but also B, McRae was tagged. Like, they purposely sent McIntosh to him, and it quietened his influence, and we couldn't get a first ball to save our life. Yeah. Like, I remember just watching Thompson Dow and Tim Taranto just being able to get the ball and almost run out the front of the stoppage. And part of it's also having a lot of youth. Like, Toby was in the midfield, Hugo was in the midfield, and a couple others. Like, there was just not a lot of experience alongside McRae. And I think we chucked a bit more Zach Jones in there in the second half, and it worked. But I think without Steele, he showed why he was so important in the second half, because that's when we started to get a bit of dominance in the middle. Like, we got absolutely whacked in there in the first half.
Yeah.
And I think that's also, like, Toby Nankervis always dominates Rowan Marshall. Mm-hmm. I understand Marshall's one of the best ruckmen in the league, but for whatever reason, he cannot do it against Toby Nankervis.
Just have those type of players, you can't beat them sometimes.
Yeah. But continuing some really good performances. We mentioned him a lot last week. Maxi Hall.
Oh, he was great.
Played his first game against Adelaide, kicked 2 goals. Didn't get on the score sheet last year, but was involved a lot of attacking play, and then popped up again this week for 2 goals. And he was just everywhere once again. Like, he's getting around the ground as a small forward, which is really important. But he's so clean when he has the ball.
Very
he
patient.
Always makes the right kick, and he never get beaten, and he always stays on his feet.
Yeah,
as a small forward, that's important.
There was one play in like the third or fourth quarter where he just got the ball on 50 and he just like stood there for like 5 seconds and then made the right kick. That's what we need when Max King's in this team.
Yeah.
Someone like that kicking the ball to him, and he's the GOAT, I think.
I was watching on the wing. He's running up and down. He's so good for somebody like him, but as a small forward, sorry. But even his efforts too, like I know in the first quarter he chopped off a kick, didn't get a mark, but he just still makes so much pressure. He's going to be such a gun, I reckon.
Yeah, I think when you have him and Henry alongside King being two really good deliverers of the ball in the half forward, aside from your halfbacks, obviously, it's going to be so important to his development in terms of King, because he's not going to have the ball delivered on his head where a defender can easily spoil the ball.
Which
it is
what
like
we need.
5 meters up in the air, but still, it's going to make it a lot more difficult for a defender to be able to be contesting in the air with him.
And just to go off on a little tangent, so pick 45 this year was Hugh Boxall. It's not the exact pick we traded away. I think we traded with Essendon for pick 45. But it's a bit weird that we trade away 45 for McRae, and then with pick 45 we get Hugh Boxall, who's like a great talent. We'll talk about him a bit in the VFL little segment, really but he's been playing really well. And Owens, Higgins, and Wood, so they all combined for 10 goals. I thought that was great. Owens, did he kick all his goals in the second half?
Yes, he did.
I think
Could have had 5 from the Sad Sainer with a prediction on Twitter that I saw.
I did see that.
And then gave it off to Lance Collard in the last. Lancey second.
Yeah, you were happy with just the second. You wanted a bit more than that.
He should have had 4. I predicted it last week he was going to have 4. He did 2 once he missed. That snapped, he hit the post, and set shot.
What did we predict for last week? I can't remember.
Ooh,
I don't know. We've got to add this now every week, where the predictions we have to make sure. Because yours was Lance's 4. I think mine might have been Higgins for 4 again.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah. Then I went Lance.
He was 1 off. And then what was yours? I can't remember what yours was.
I don't know. I'll cut it into this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm claiming mine. He kicked 4 in my books. Kicked 2, but it's 4.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I just want to highlight Wood's performance real quick. He had 3 goals and 16 touches again over the weekend.
And I think 1 or 2 behinds.
Yeah.
As well.
So underrated. He's had to move forward a bit more this year with no King and Kamini obviously going down back, and Keeler just not ready yet. But he had 26 and 2 last week. And then in the loss to Adelaide in the first week, he had 15 and 2 still. So he's a goal-kicking winger at the moment, and he's just so underrated in this team, I reckon.
Everyone loves Mason Wood, I'm pretty sure, that father figure around the club. And every year he just seems to be getting better.
I mean, he's averaging almost 20 touches and almost 3 goals a game through the first 3 weeks. Like, that's very easily all Australian numbers. Yeah. So imagine if he can continue that for the rest of the year.
Wood won't get the recognition. The player I think will get the recognition for all Australian is Jack Higgins. I think think he's a chance.
Yes.
He's he's 3rd or 2nd in the Coleman?
He's 2nd. I don't think Amos or Tracy was able to get up to him. So he's 2nd.
4. I'll get it up as you guys talk about it. I'll get it out. I'll tell you what he is.
I'm pretty sure he's 2nd with 9. Ben King's 1st with 10.
Larky might have passed him.
No, I don't think.
No, Lucky's first.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, Lucky. Oh, okay. He's equal 3rd at the moment. Ben King. Ben King is 2nd with 10.
Lucky will be at the Saints in 2027.
Yeah, get King. Both to King Rudders. He's equal 3rd with Fogarty and Thilthorpe, both from Adelaide. Just a kicking machine these days. And then Ben King 2nd with 10.
So he's 3rd. He's in the
so
the top 3.
Got the most goals.
Only small forward, so that's all that matters.
And I think that's big for him. He is a small forward. I think we all agree that he's a small forward. But before this year, he'd always want to fly up for packs, and he'd want to be the one marking it. And I think that hinders King a little bit. I know we've talked about King a lot this podcast already, but he's stayed down a lot more and just got those cheap little snaps, which he's so good at.
And he's given off more goals, I think, this year than he did his past years. I know Lance Collard got a couple of him last week, and so he could be up there with Coleman anyway. But
I'd love a Jack Higgins Coleman. I think he'd be getting fitted for that blazer real quick.
Yeah, I'd measure it up right now if I was the AA community, just getting ready for it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we talked about Steele missing and the impact of McRae.
Yeah,
I did slightly touch on Hugo Garcia, but he was absolutely fantastic. I don't think we can underestimate how good he was in that second half.
I think 23 touches, 9 tackles or something.
Yeah, 9 tackles.
So good. When's the Rising Star nomination come out?
Tonight.
Today.
I've got a post ready for it, so I hope he wins. I've got it ready.
Yeah, I think we played him as 9 games last year. Yeah, so we purposely made it where he couldn't play the 10.
What are you going to get? Harvey Langford, 26 and 1, but they lost by 40 to Gold Coast.
Yeah. This is his 3rd AFL game ever where he was not subbed on or off.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is his 3rd full game and 23 Well, he's in his
Third
second
full
year.
game and you're dominating. That just goes. That's
Yeah.
it's going to be so
He
good.
had like 14 touches at halftime. It was crazy.
That's really impressive. A couple others that are really impressing. You talked about Lance Collard, your favourite.
My
Your
favourite.
favourite. And Isaac Keeler, again, he's just competing.
Yep.
He was on, I think, Blight was his name.
Yeah, Jacob Blight.
Yeah, Jacob Blight. And whilst he didn't do anything too crazy, he's just getting the ball to ground when he needs to. And he's also being able to play that backup rock roll, so Owens doesn't need to. And when he is there, he's always jumping. And like you compare that to Marshall. Marshall's always wanting to battle. He always stays on the ground and makes it a game on his terms. Keeler just jumps for the ball at every single stage.
I watched it. I pointed it out. Keeler always jumps and he'll always miss, which is something that will come with time. He'll eventually start hitting those balls, but he always jumps up and misses them.
Shut up, Cooper.
We're very childish.
Shut up,
here.
He's
Cooper.
close.
But another Sir Lance Collard's in his second year. So is Darcy
Yeah.
Wilson, and he just looks like he's continuing.
I'd get
on every
Lance
game.
Collard's AA Blazer ready too if I was AA community.
Averages 2 goals a game.
That's all that matters.
2 goals a game. Hey, that's better than what Charlie Cameron's doing this year. That's all I'll
Is
say.
Lance Collard the best number 4 we've had in about 10 years?
I don't even know who the other person
Since-
was. That's all that matters.
Since 2018 round 10 Jade Gresham performance, yes.
Yeah, as we were looking before the podcast, round 10, 2018, Jade Gresham kicked 6 in a 27-point loss to Richmond.
Oh, man.
But, I mean, you said Darcy Wilson. I thought he was very quiet, but like it was a quiet 18. That's the
20,
thing.
I think. He had 20 in a goal. I was talking about it. Yeah, he had 20 in a goal. I was talking about it with someone like, he's not exploding. Like you look at a Hugo, everyone talks about Hugo, and yeah, Hugo plays his role well, but Darcy Wilson is just fit in his role so well to the point where it's almost unnoticeable how good he is.
Yeah, he has.
And what was he, peak 18?
Yeah,
Yeah,
20
he was.
pick
in a row.
18. We traded James Leake for him. Like,
Yeah, I'll take that over James Leake.
I'm pretty sure like
Oh,
it was like GWS. I don't know.
Yeah, it was
I remember
Yeah, we traded back. Yeah, because GWS then took Phoenix Gothard because they traded up.
we got a
for us.
second.
Oh, yes, we
Yeah.
did too.
And then we got Lance Collard that second.
And
didn't
then, yeah, from the
Take that.
from the Jade Gresham. It
Yeah.
was literally the
Yeah.
direct swap. But obviously, we also had the return of Cooper Sharman as another forward who has been pretty good.
I didn't notice him in the first half.
Nah, not at
Second
all.
half, really, really well. I think he just built into the game. Obviously, he didn't play twos or anything, so his first actual
No,
game in a
I
year.
think with Cooper, he's such a great overhead mark, and I did notice it a lot. He was going up for a lot of them,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't clunking them. He was finally clunking them in the second half and got his 2 goals, and I think he kicked him in like a minute or
Yeah,
something.
he almost had 3 goals within a minute.
Yeah.
If he didn't, if that one that bounced, it was so close to going in on his left too.
He's such a good set shot.
Yeah, I'm
He
so
never
comfortable
misses.
with him.
Yeah.
I'm so comfortable with him taking a set shot. He's the one that I want.
Yeah.
I want Cooper Sharman.
I don't like seeing Mitch Owens or Jack Higgins with a set shot. If it's not a snap.
Jack Higgins is a lot better.
Jack Higgins on the snap is a lot
I
better.
don't remember the
a
last
lot
time I saw him kick a drop punt, to be fair.
But that's pretty much everything for the game. But
Just one more.
oh yeah,
One
more.
Jimmy Webster.
There you go.
Jib.
Go on.
He,
The new Jib.
I love Jimmy
No.
Webster. Jimmy Webster could almost be my favourite player on this team.
Wow,
He's
big
so
call.
He is just
Big call.
a bit like Wilson. He plays his role every week. And he just, no one talks about him. Even like last week, we had the question about how Travalia and Taru were breathing down his neck and how he was going to get dropped. No chance. He
It'll be
plays
that.
so well.
Yep. I mean, in the first half, he saved us a couple goals for sure.
Yep.
He had 4 spalls in the first half, which is really impressive. And he just is always there. Like, some small forwards can get towed up occasionally, like once every 4 weeks or whatever. He almost never gets towed up, and that's the thing. He might get them to kick 2 goals on him, but that's the max. And it's so important to have that in your team.
And I've just realised we've also forgotten to talk about Caminiti.
Oh,
2 weeks in a row.
Yes.
We've forgotten to talk about Caminiti.
Yes.
He has a spot down back now that
Yeah.
he's not going to get dropped anytime soon.
Yep. 100% All-Australian fullback in 2 years.
There's just
That's
there
what he
was
said it all game day. I don't know
too
why.
many good performances. I remember when I did my performance post on Instagram. You can
Yeah.
only put 10. I'd made like 15 or something.
Was it AFL Central or
You can go
7
up to
AFL
20.
also did like 6
I don't
slides of us. And I've never seen that before.
Yeah, I know. They're like,
There you go.
Crazy.
Surprise.
Up and about. Oh, yeah.
but yeah. I think we can move on to the injuries, which is a bit of a downside. Obviously,
Yes.
the Liam O'Connell concussion. And how do we feel about Mansell getting 3 weeks for that?
Well, this is my area of expertise, as they say.
Here we go. Go on.
And I have been on record for over a year now, having my word with the MRO and tribunal system. And in pre-season, we had the Ruben Jinby and Sam Lawler incident, broken jaw. It's very simple to, give him a 2-week suspension. Guess what? We don't have 5 more instances within a month of the exact same thing happening. This one is slightly different because he did push him, but O'Connell also took a couple extra steps.
Yeah.
So it wasn't directly involved. But at the same time, he knew he wasn't going to get to the contest.
Yeah.
He knew that he was going to push him and then he'd be able to potentially be free to be able to pick up the spoils. But it's just not a football act. So I don't understand. Yeah, I like the suspension for this week, but it just proves how dumb they were a month ago.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they can think this is a solid system. Like,
Yeah.
they've just changed their ruling.
I understand why Richmond supporters are so mad about it.
Yeah.
Especially because the first one happened to Sam Layla. Like,
Yeah.
is it Layla or Laylaw?
Lawler.
Lawler. There we go.
Somehow, even though it's spelled Lalor. But I think this is probably the most egregious decision, not the most egregious one, because this is the one where the player almost had an option to not even get into the contest. Because I'm not saying it's O'Connell's fault that he got knocked out,
Yeah.
but it was Lynch's arm after O'Connell went back with the flight. It wasn't like he got pushed into it. He technically took a couple steps. And this is the one they get 3 weeks for.
Yeah, and I think the argument will be from the AFL that if O'Connell doesn't get pushed, does he go into the contest like that?
Yeah.
And I think that's fair.
100% that's fair.
Do you think, though, if Ryan Mansell was at a good club, no offense to Richmond, but at a
You think he's the whipping boy?
I think they've just made an example out of it.
If it was Bontempelli, I forget who I was talking to about it. If it was Bontempelli wouldn't have got suspended.
If it's Patrick Cripps, we know he doesn't get suspended.
Patrick Dangerfield he wouldn't get suspended.
He wouldn't even get a fine.
He should have got suspended last week.
Because it's Ryan Mansell, and we all know who Ryan Mansell is. I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
But he's not that big name. I think he led their goal kicking last year. But he's still not that
That's crazy.
big name. So I think that's why the AFL are fine making Mansell the whipping boy for this.
Yeah.
And also everyone knows now you can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we also had Jack Steele get injured in the pre-game.
Yep.
Looks to be just a jar of the knee. So
Yeah, so
hopefully,
Ross in the-
fingers crossed, nothing serious.
Yeah, so Ross in the post-game basically said that sort of coming in, he felt pain in his knee, so that's why Hasty was already held out of the VFL game.
Yeah.
And, we just decided to make that change. I think he tweaked it again in warm-up, so on the injury list tomorrow, he'll probably be listed as a test. I don't know. Would we play him against Port if he's not 100%?
No, not this early in the season. You can't risk someone who's healthy at 100%.
I think we basically already rested him for the Richmond game. If he felt it during the week and it wasn't just a thing in the preseason, then you basically just did the rest.
He was a super laid out too, like a subs.
I remember I bought a in the members area you can buy $10 first goal scorers. I bought Jack Steele and I was like shit, so I had to take it back. I'm like, can I get a new player? And they gave me Harry Armstrong. I'm like, it didn't have an influence at all.
No, but
just with the Jack Steele knee, obviously it was a negative at the time, but it actually turned into a positive because
it allowed Hugo,
played
allowed Toby.
Yeah, a full game, which he was supposed to be the sub.
We've also skipped over Toby. There's too many good, like Ryan Burns again, Wilkie.
This is what happens.
There's too many good performances. When we get smashed, if we get smashed again,
one good performance
this year.
Don't say that.
Jack McRae.
We'll never get smashed again. Undefeated for the rest of the season.
Undefeated.
What do we got? We're going 22-1.
22-1. And we'll still bottle the flag. Watch.
Saints Positive Podcast.
Yeah, super Cooper.
But so the players who could return for Port, sorry to cut you off there, Ben.
Got some good news, hopefully.
Yep, so Steele, Stocker, Butler and King, in my opinion, are all in the mix. So we know Taru will return to VFL this week.
That'll be fun to watch.
Yep.
Stocker should just be off the injury list entirely with the concussion.
Straight back in, hopefully.
Heart and soul player.
Yeah.
Steele will probably be listed as a test, and Butler and King, still not sure if it's 1 week or a test for them.
I feel like Max King won't play this. I feel like the
yeah.
GWS would be GWS would be the game
Essendon,
that too.
Essendon weren't a massive forward line. They had like Draper and Bryan down there, but like Wright didn't play, Langford didn't play. So I think looking at that, we're fine not playing King this week.
Yep.
And I wonder if because of how small Essendon were, we bring in Butler if he's fit.
I don't think the need. I think put Butler back in the twos because we've got a small forward fleet that's working.
Yeah, it is actually.
And we should probably touch on it later. It is a question, but
Okay.
Also, Keeler going back to his home state to play footy.
sure.
Yep.
I feel like that should.
We dogged him out of round one. He totally should have played in round one.
He should. Yeah, but here you go. He can have his 2 weeks now, or 1 week, and then Max King back in.
Yeah.
Well, if he performs, have both of them. It'll be nice.
Okay. Well, let's move to the VFL game.
Yep. So the Zebras lost 74-80. Did any of you boys actually get to catch this game? It was a bit of a tough time.
I watched the last 2 minutes. And then I watched.
I want you to tell me what happened in the last 2 minutes. I saw it, but I want your take on it.
My take is Ari Schoenmaker, as it said, is here. Yeah, he's not proven yet. He can't play at AFL. The kicking, he kicked it across goals, and it was a horrible kick, and it was a throw.
Almost went through the behind post.
Yeah, I would. That was because it was a draw.
Would have been better.
It was a draw at a time, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is going through behind post." But then we had a pressure the last 5 minutes. I think the wind was very heavy to the
it's
left side.
Moorabbin. The wind's always terrible.
The left side of screen. So I think they kicked 4 goals to our 0 in that last quarter. So they were pressing, and then they kept pressing, and then a quick kick out of a pack. I don't know who, and then I think
it might have been Shoalmaker. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully not. But and then
not.
Richmond's captain, I believe he is. Yeah, Joel Garner took a mark, and then siren went. Of course, perfect timing for them, and then kicked it straight through.
Yeah, like this is my big problem with the Shoalmaker. And I wouldn't say it's an argument I get into with fans, but it's something we definitely disagree on. Like, because you look at the stats, because I posted the stats with the VFL. Like, Shoalmaker, 29 disposals, had a goal, a heap of marks. It looks great on paper.
Yep.
Can't kick it short. We know he can bomb him from 60, but can't kick it short, and he can't be that defender we want him to be at 195 centimetres. And
I think, not that it's time to move on from him as a defender, but I've never, like a lot of people were saying he's that third tall, he's that battle replacement.
No chance.
He was never going to be that, and I've always said that. I just think it's now time to theoretically use him as a winger.
Yeah.
Because you've got Wood, who's playing more forward now, but he's slightly bigger than Wood. He's still athletic. Like, he can still move around pretty well. He's just got to build up that tank, and I think they want him to.
He's a forward half player.
Yeah, like, you use him, Wilson, and Burns as your 3 wingers in that rotation. That's pretty good. Like, you've got forward half players, you've got great kicks, you've got great runners, and then you've also got some aerial threats as well, because they both got the size to be able to do it in Wilson and Schoenmaker.
Yeah. And with me, Schoenmaker, like, in his draft year, he was supposed to be a late first, early second round pick. We got him in the 60s because of the suspension, alcohol to underage kids, so he fell. But we have a player on our hands. We have a very good...
highly talented.
I'm worried we're going to turn him into a Nick Cox type player, where he just never develops to the player he should be.
Problem is,
on the wing.
How much can you develop when you're already getting the 30 touches and stuff?
True.
And
he just
like,
needs to defend.
Yeah.
It won't show up on a stat sheet. He can still have his 25, 30. But if he starts defending, they'll see it. The coaches will see it.
Every game at AFL level, I want to say, he's got over 15. He might have been subbed off in one of them and didn't get it. But he's a real good at getting the ball. It's just what he does with it that's keeping him out of the team.
Do you remember his first kick
against Brisbane?
Yeah, and it was just
Dan Butler.
Oh, that was I was like, oh, he's the future.
That was frothing.
There was so many times on Saturday I was sitting with Bem, and he was like, imagine having Ari off a little handball receive here, coming off the wing. It would have just been perfect.
He to me is like a mix between Daniel Rich and Grant Birchall.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like he's got more of the size of a Birchall.
Real odd players to combine,
but like he's got the foot of a Daniel Rich, like that left foot lethal long distance bombs. Problem is Rich was really good with his kicking no matter where, like, and he was able to play off halfback. We still need to see that with Ari. He just spend a week or two with Corey and right in your set.
Please.
Why left footers always good kickers?
Yeah, great question.
That is a good point.
That's a really good question.
But another player who played exceptional in the VFL was Hugh Boxall.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I love that we haven't debuted him yet. And it's something I was worried about before Travalia debuted. And it was that he gets to play a full-time mid-role at VFL level, had 18, 12 tackles and a goal. And I watched a lot of VFL last year, and he is just the mirror image of Hugo Garcia to me.
Okay.
And you look at what Hugo Garcia is doing now, and these mid to late round midfielders make me very confident as to why we haven't been drafting them early. We are so confident as a club and as a team that we can develop these low to mid-round midfielders into these A-grade players. And it's not a guarantee, but you look at Hugo's development, you look at what Boxall's doing, and it gives us a lot of excitement about the future.
I feel like it's real good credit for Lenny the last 2 years has been really developing his midfield. I know there's a video on St Kilda about it. He's just really been developing his midfield. I think, I don't know, I've never said this before, but he doesn't have a spot in the team. Like, he doesn't. There's nobody in the mid you can probably drop for him.
The only one that I would see is if McRae picks up an injury, he would be probably the replacement.
Touch wood.
Steele's already been injured. We're fine. Like Steele is probably similar size-wise, but McRae's sort of probably more similar in terms of play style to Boxall.
Yeah.
So the only reason he'd come in is if we aren't playing Jack McRae.
I don't know why we dropped Jack McRae.
No, not drop.
Mid.
But if he gets suspended or if whatever happens, theoretically.
I'm just with that, with our midfield. Are we officially giving up on Mitch Owens as a midfielder?
Yes.
I think, yeah.
I feel like he's looked really good in the last 2 games. He didn't play round one.
Yeah, realistically, he's going to be that sort of third, potentially fourth tall forward. But
he can go in at spurts.
I was about to say, if we really need it, if it's a semi-final or whatever, and we need someone to change it, you can still put him in there.
Yeah,
I think you can still do it
in the middle.
True, we do that a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff.
I remember
against the dangers and the Crips and stuff. He likes to go.
I remember like halfway through 2023, we're like, he's going to be the next Nat Fyfe, especially because Ross was the coach at the time. But I think he's sort of developed to be that forward, and it's not because like we have so many great mids. It's just because he plays the forward role so well, like you saw.
His forward craft this year has been so much better.
Yeah, averages 3 goals.
Yeah. He's on.
You can't take him out.
Yep.
And so who do we think will be the team changes for this week versus Port Adelaide?
I think O'Connell's obviously out.
Yeah.
I think that's a straight swap with Stocker straight away.
Yeah.
If Steele's healthy, I don't know about Hasty. I think Hasty played a really good game. It's another one we haven't touched on.
Hasty was good.
He, as a sub, came late notice. He came straight on, and played really, really well. And he's basically a full game after not even knowing he was going to play half an hour before the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could drop him for it, but if anybody, it would be him.
Yeah.
I don't want to say this either, but Zach Jones, if you're picking Steele or Jones...
I don't think you can drop Zachy Jones.
But if you're picking Steele or Jones, who would you pick?
But why is it Steele or Jones?
You pick Steele, but I'd take Jones over Hasty. Jones has played a lot of halfback this year, at least seemed to play a lot down there, so he's not a stereotypical
I just like our young players, I reckon, too much.
I think one theoretically we could potentially go out is Brad Hill.
Nah, he played really well.
Hill played really good.
I know he played well, but I still think if we want to potentially see some youth, just rest him. There's nothing wrong with doing it to your older players. Like, theoretically, we could rest Zach Jones this week because he probably is one that you want to continuously see in the team because he likes that confidence.
Power move, resting players for Port Adelaide and Adelaide Clash.
Hey, we got 2 weeks in Adelaide. We're going to need some really good performances.
We have rested Hill in the past.
Yeah.
We did it last year, so we definitely could do it.
Resting players in round, 4, though?
Just do it whenever. It doesn't. We've got the depth. Like, it's not that in terms of it's like for like, but we've got the young players to be able to support depth.
Can we do what Koning would do with, like, they only did it once with Pendlebury, but where we have that mature age as the
Jones
sub?
Jones is a sub. Yeah, that could work.
Like it's sort of like especially because Ross always coaches from the box.
Yeah.
Having that older veteran on the field, like, as the sub, he can almost be the on-field coach down there.
Yeah, true.
And I think Hill fits that role real well.
And you can play him sort of all around as well if you need to. Like, he's played off half-back for us, played on the wing, played half-forward.
Yeah.
So he can sort of do anything if whoever gets injured. But in terms of the actual ins and outs, assuming Steele is healthy, he comes straight back in. I don't think any of us is doubting that. Yep. He probably comes in for O'Connell, I'd say. And then Stocker, you would assume, is also fit to come back.
So who do you drop? it's
This
very
is the
hard
thing.
off a win like this to pick a player.
Yeah.
I think we probably go back to Hasty out and then Garcia back as the sub. I think we sort of like that. And
it sucks to see Garcia get sub after
after a really
performance he
good
had,
a really good performance.
Well, I think we named Travalia as the sub.
We could
He was,
also
yeah,
go back
he
to
was.
Toby as the
So
sub.
I think we could do Toby as
Now
the
that
sub.
he's got his first
It's
game,
not
that's
looking good
probably what happens.
I don't want that for the super coach though. So.
You have Toby in your team now?
Nah, I'm going to trade him in this week.
Oh.
Sorry.
No,
trade him in.
don't do it this week. Do
Oh.
it next week because after 3 games the cash goes up.
Yeah, but is he going to be sub and his cash might not go up? I actually might as well trade him in then. That's a conversation for another time. I reckon.
Yes, it is.
Super
Yes,
Coach
it
And,
is.
podcast.
Player of the week voted by you guys. Remember to vote on the stories. I put it up after every game. Jack Sinclair, obviously, 40 disposals, 6 inside 50s, 10 score involvements, and went at 85% disposal efficiency. So
Yep.
I think that one's pretty obvious, and I think that's going to reflect in our voting, which
Mm-hmm.
new segment which we've brought in. So for my voting, I gave 1 vote to Hugo Garcia. I thought he stepped up exceptionally well with the absence of Steele. For my 2 votes, I went Max Hall. I thought played really well and used the ball well, and same with Sinclair, with who got my 3 votes. And yeah, it's hard to go past him.
Yeah, I've got Jack McRae as a gun mid. He obviously fought through the tag in the first half. I feel like
Mhm.
played really good, so he got the 1 vote for me. Mitch Owens kicked 4 goals, could have had 5. I reckon his teamwork and just his forward craft has improved so much, so he's got the 2 votes. And then obviously, as everybody else would, Jack Sinclair with the 3 because
Yep.
the stats are right there. So
Yep.
Hard to
100%.
look past him.
Really, really difficult to look past Sinclair. 1 vote for me is Mitch Owens. I thought, I said last week the way he competed was really good. And again, same thing this week. And he did a lot in the second half, more so when we were on top. And I would like to see him start to take away games more so in the first half and really take it by the scruff of the neck.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I can't really criticise his performance when he kicked 4 goals too. 2 votes, Maxi Hall. I love this kid. I was really a big fan of him against Adelaide, and he's just shown why he has to stay in the team. Like, he's just so class as a player.
Yeah.
It's really good to see. What's happened? Why are you laughing?
you
You love him.
No.
you said this kid. He's
I've got
older
a
than
few
you.
of his family members that might listen to the podcast, so they follow.
Good. Like that. And then 3 votes, obviously, Jack Sinclair. He's so good. He is so good.
Look at it.
Yeah. I love how you both did that in exact
We
unison.
know. This is
We're
pre-planned.
connected.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we'll get through to some of the fan questions now. I picked 4 out. And for question 1, we have, I love Keeler's upside. Why can't I speak? But he can't compete against bigger bodies. Where does he fit? So I'll go to you guys first.
Well, can't compete against bigger bodies. It's also his second game of AFL footy. And Blight is one of the biggest defenders in terms of
He
actual
is
size.
massive.
He was huge. So, like, physicality, obviously, he's not going to be able to compete with him. But he's also realistically going up against one of the team's best defenders, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got the taller players who are experienced. It's much easier to be a starting key defender than it is to be a key forward.
Yeah.
And also, he just needs to compete. That's all he needs to do at this stage. Wait until King gets back. It'll be interesting to see if we play him alongside King. But that's sort of where he would fit, because you got King, Keeler, Sharman, and then Owens is that 4th. That's sort of your key forwards for the future.
Yeah.
That's where he fits.
100%.
Right now, when he's the main key tall, because Owens and Sharman are more so mediums, he's obviously going to struggle.
Yeah.
But it's his second game. Give him a fucking break, man.
Hey, that's the
Give
one.
him a
That's the one
break.
for the episode. We had one
Give
last
him a
episode.
break.
Got to agree with Bam there with most of it. He's second game, and he's just going to keep getting better. But I think, no offense to Harry Boy, he's probably already taken his spot as the second ruck if there was a second ruck.
Very good
And
point.
yeah, I would love to see
Max
him against.
Heath,
I would love to see him against with King too, but I just don't think it will happen. I think
Yeah.
if King goes, he will go.
Yeah, and it's something that I'll talk about a little bit in a second. But for me, in a competitive side, Keeler is probably fringe 23 for us right now. He comes in, he does his job, kicks his goals, and in my opinion, is the perfect duo for Rowan this year in the ruck, because they can both play forward. And he's still in the 20 to 21 frame. So, it's his 3rd year, so frame is always going to be an issue. But if he continues kicking these goals and, going into the hit-outs, being competitive, then there's no reason why he shouldn't be dropped in this side.
Yeah.
Like, we're not at a point where we can just drop players even when they have good performances.
No.
Yeah.
He's also getting creative now. Like, there was this passage in the middle where Naz came bursting through, handballed it to Killer, gave the really quick 1-2, and then Naz just burst out, and he had an open forward 50 to kick to.
Yeah, he was kicking a lot of inside 50s.
Yeah, in the
three or
first
four.
half, in the first quarter, he had 3 by himself or 4 by himself. I don't think he had many after that. But, like, just keep getting involved. That's all I say. Like, when you're in the midfield, see if you can do that sort of stuff where you're allowing the players to get it. Because he's starting to get creative now.
Mhm.
And that's sort of the best thing about him is he is a smart and creative player. Like, I remember the one he got the assist to Jackie Higgins and he gave him a little high five and then ran off immediately to go to the bench. But if he keeps doing that, you can't drop him. Like, unless someone obviously comes in who's better, there's no reason to drop him.
He probably should have had 2 goals too.
Yeah.
Like, that snap was amazing, by the way. It was a key forward. And snapping it like that quick, that was good.
And then that sort of segues into our next question. So, who makes way for King, and does Caminiti need to stay down back? So, for me, like, I know we were just talking up Keeler a lot, but Keeler probably is the one who makes way for King, which is why I want to give Keeler this one last game, like, not last game, but another game to prove himself.
Yeah.
And, you know, when King is back, however, means Wood can play more of that full-time wing than playing in the forward line. So it's almost like a Ryan Burns, O'Connell type for me, who makes room for King rather than a Keeler type.
Yeah.
Just based on in and outs.
I pretty much agree with that because, you know, if obviously Wood takes the wing spot back, it probably is O'Connell who comes out, and then you allow Owens to play that Wood role, and then Sharman becomes the proper medium tall, and it just makes it for a bit more of a balanced team as well.
Yeah.
Because at the moment we are very, very small.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I can't complain with anything that's just been said.
Yeah, and Caminiti, I think we all agree, needs to stay down back.
He will be playing backline
This
for the rest of his career.
was his 3rd game as a defender. Overall, I think he did it last year once against Port Adelaide.
Yeah,
and he got moved down back as well against Brisbane, up there.
I think that's the game that sort of started it.
Yeah, because he showed really good signs against Danaher, and I was really impressed with it then. And obviously a full preseason as a key back helps.
Yeah,
for
so
sure.
held Lynch to 1 goal as well, which was
And then
not
was
a
from
fan
45
favourite.
45 on the boundary.
Yeah.
And then Shannon Neals was a
Shannon
3-on-1
Neal
that he
kicked
didn't mark, and then
couple, I think.
Also 45 out on the boundary.
I reckon 50. Yeah.
That too.
And also 4th in the AFL for marks, as only playing 2 games as a defender. He didn't mark it much against
I think
Adelaide.
he had 3 marks.
Who will he be on this
stupid?
week? Who's there?
It'll be
on Georgiades?
Wilkie will go to Georgiades. He'll probably sit on Ollie Lord or Radagalier if he plays up forward.
I'll tell you what their forward line was against Essendon.
Yeah.
They'll make changes, obviously.
Ollie Lord didn't play.
Yeah.
Ollie Lord
I think he's injured.
Yeah.
No, because Soldo played, so he'd play on one of their key
Soldo will be
forwards.
dropped. I saw on
Soldo
socials.
Is not good.
Okay.
So their
he'll be dropped.
forward
So glad we
line,
didn't pick him up.
Yep.
they run a pretty small forward line. So
Yeah.
Soldo was in there. He'll get dropped. So I think we could send him to
I
Georgiades.
think it's the only one that couldn't go to. And Wilkie just roams.
Nah, because surely Ollie Lord comes in.
Is he injured?
And then he goes to Lord.
He might be injured.
Because
Keep talking.
I
I'll
want
find us.
Wilkie on Georgiades because that is the matchup. I mean, we're going to talk about the game in a bit.
Do you want Wilkie on Georgiades or do you want Wilkie on Rioli?
I'd much rather Wilkie on Georgiades
And
and
then
then
you think
Webster on
Webster goes to
Rioli.
Ollie Lord was a test for this week. So
Yeah, so he'll be back.
He might.
He
So,
might.
That'll be the switch, and Butters is still out, which is
And that's
awesome.
a good
Lord is-
matchup for Caminiti.
yeah,
Lord.
yeah, correct. It's a much more like for like. But again, we'll talk about that in a bit because
Lucky
we
Jones
will be
won't be
talking
playing.
about the game this week.
Yeah.
Is he not playing?
I don't. Well, he's 1 or 2 weeks, so I don't
Okay,
really know.
it'll be a test.
But yeah, so
I don't
question
like Lucky Jones.
question 3. Actually, no, he's out. Ryan Burns out as well.
Yep.
Yep.
This is an upset waiting.
Yep. Okay, so does Butler have to earn his spot at VFL level with Lance Collard's recent form? And to me, it's a no. Like, we can easily run. We can easily run a forward line with Butler, Collard, and Higgins.
Who are you taking out then?
Can you?
It's hard to
It's
figure
hard
out
to get
the
a spot in
player.
this team at the moment.
Because
Well,
it's not just those 3. You got Hall who's playing there. You got Higgins. You got Collard. You got Brad Hill who's playing there as well.
Mitch Owens is technically like he's.
It might have,
kinda. it's very difficult to bring him in.
I think Butler will have...
At the moment, you cannot go past the players performing, and everyone's performing.
It's hard because to me, Butler is such a selfless player. Plays that perfect role, the pressure forward.
He's too good for twos, isn't he, Butler?
And he's in the leadership group. So, that means a lot at selection.
He could be a good sub.
Yeah,
I don't know who would you bring out with him. I can be a
maybe
role for Ross, but
maybe Maxi Hall goes. You can't drop it.
No,
Hall's a perfect
you can't
sub.
drop someone.
Hall is a better sub.
Oh,
but
you can't
I
sub
want
him.
to see
Two
Hall
goals
play
and 18 touches. You can't drop him.
Yeah.
This is the problem. I would love to bring Butler back in, but you just cannot drop someone at the moment.
I feel like realistically, if it was anybody, it would be Collard.
Yeah, but it's hard. You can't drop a player who's kicking 2 goals a game.
No, and providing the pressure he does.
His opportunity to get goals himself, to that run from what was about 70 out, ran to 35 and just hit a post.
Yeah, could have had 3 very easily from that alone.
Yeah, and that alone should keep... And the run-down tackle, as we haven't talked about in the fourth quarter, when we're up by 50.
Yeah.
And Ross talked about that in his press conference too, so
he was tempting all game to do one, and then he finally did.
Yeah.
So he played 2 games of VFL last year, Butler.
How did he go?
That would have been returning from injuries and stuff.
Yeah, he played round 1 against Collingwood, so that was round 2 for us. And what did he have? He had...
I feel like he'll play 2.
8 disposals and a goal, and he had 16 disposals and a goal.
Yeah.
So he doesn't need to play well to get back into the team.
No.
Yeah. But what rounds were they? He was playing VFL last year.
Round 16. Oh, round 1, round 9. So that would have been round 2 versus Collingwood for us, and then round 10 versus the Demons at the
And we were playing bad in both of those, so it was an easy team.
I mean, we played
actually the Collingwood
beat
one.
Collingwood.
That was
but the Melbourne one.
Collard wasn't performing then. So
Collard played the Collingwood game, didn't he? He did not do much.
Collard didn't
He was
play.
the sub in the Collingwood game.
Nah, Jones was because Wood went down.
Did he?
I remember he was the sub in the Geelong game.
Yeah, he did.
He
He was the sub in the Geelong game.
Oh, yeah. Because Wood did that horrific injury. Anyway, we got very distracted. Final question? Is it the final question?
Opinions on the 3 trade targets of Alir, TDK and Berg. I wrote this up like last night before this question even came in, so I was ready for this. So, De Koning for me is a 90% chance.
90%.
It gets a lot high. It goes up 1% with every Carlton loss.
TDK, if you're watching this,
and every Saints win. And every Saints win.
And
take the money.
I've got 3 reasons. So I've written a couple reasons to why I've got them at that percent. So money, too good to turn down. 1.7 over 7 years. Carlton's form in 2025 is a big one as well. Obviously, I think none of us are going to tip them against the Pies, but wouldn't surprise me if they got up. And
stay tuned for Zero Access Footy tomorrow if you want to see me tip Carlton. Footy. If you want to see me tip Carlton, because I will.
And shout outs, are you?
And it's also carried over interest from 2023, which is something that will come up with Bergman. But we've targeted a lot of players, and then we didn't get them then, and we're going after them now.
These 3, as we're about to speak about, are going to be perfect. I reckon
they all play this week.
I think Alir is the most likely out of all of them. I think he's not going to go to Brisbane.
You think Leakley is the most likely out of these 3?
Yeah, I reckon.
I don't.
He's gone, and Brisbane won't offer him as much as we can.
Yeah, so I'll go to Alir now. So I've got him at 60. Again, carried over interest from 2024. We asked the question last year, and GWS wanted to give him one last year. So he's struggling to get a game there. We're willing to offer him huge money. 700 to 900 was what was reported. Again, carried over interest. Toomey said he's gone. I take Toomey's word like the Bible. Whatever he says happens.
Agreed.
And you just have to look at his fandom drafts for that. He gets them all right.
Yep.
And with Alir, I've got it at 60 over TDK because we need to facilitate the trade.
But if they don't play him...
But still, we need to trade for him.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah. And if he plays great in the VFL, they're still going to ask for a fair bit.
He was pretty good on the weekend. My only thing is, in a couple years, would Leakley get into this team, right? Okay, we're talking about this. Caminiti, fullback, pretty confident with that. Wilkie's still going to be there. He's still under 30.
Webster will be gone by then.
Webster will probably be replaced by McLennan, I dare say. Any of them. Taru will be there. James Barrett has a chance to be there.
He's good.
To me, James Barrett and Leakley are very similar in terms of they're both probably more so medium tools rather than proper tools, whereas that's your Caminiti. I'm more concerned that we took Barrett. Why would we now want to go for Leakley and just ruin Barrett's potential to make this team?
To me, it's hard because we drafted Barrett and Taru last year. They're both swingmen.
Taru got to everywhere, literally.
Taru, there will be a game this year, like Alice Springs. If we go up there and it's super windy, he will stay in one side of the ground the entire match. And he'll play 2 quarters of defense and he'll play 2 quarters up forward.
You reckon?
I'm so keen to watch him.
He did it at Gippsland last year. And I was telling people, I'm like, if you think Travalia played good on the weekend, and he did, 18 and like nearly had that goal, Taru's better.
Do you think?
Wow.
Do you think Lee Kalia could be a Sam Draper type situation again? Remember when we offered him
a heap of money and he didn't come?
But no, we didn't, and then we pulled it because Marshall played so well. Do you think it could be our backline's playing so well we don't need him?
I don't think so. Depth, you got to remember, depth is always important.
It's 700 to 900k worth of depth.
But
to me, that's still
too
much.
He'd still be keeping Barrett. It is too much, but we're renting him out of another club at the end of the day.
I suppose so.
Well, what's his contract?
He'd be on a rookie scale contract. It'd be like
250, including match payments and stuff.
No,
including all the bonuses and shit they did get. I think, obviously,
there's no way we're turning
Ali's the most contentious one. Bergman, I think, is probably, in my opinion, the most locked to happen. I think he will 100% want to come home. Port aren't looking that
Which we'll
good
talk about in a second.
this year. And he obviously knows some players in our team. There's links to us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he will fit in really well because he's going to be able to play that sort of lockdown role. Talking about Jimmy Webster, he's the one who probably takes that role.
Yeah.
He's a similar build to Stocker, but he's more defensive. Stocker likes to play up into the midfield and stuff. He is simply a key back pocket.
So say we could get Alir on 600, 700.
Yep.
You gotta remember, salary cap next year is 18, so just under, like, it's still close, like probably about 5% of the cap, just off the top of my head.
How are we offering Bergman midfield minutes? Sorry, but
I'll talk about that in a minute.
We've got such a young midfield, you can't.
So,
I know he fits.
It is hard. I think if he requests a trade, there's no way we say no. The last time someone requested a trade to us and we said no, do you guys remember who it is?
No.
Tristan Cherry.
Oh, yeah.
He requested a trade when Ryder left, and we said no.
We got Campbell instead.
North wanted a lot, though. They wanted a second-round pick for him, and he was unproven at the time.
You're serious. Oh, God, that makes
far out, Ratton. Come on.
And in my opinion, Cherry's the second best ruckman in the league. He's better than Marshall. He's not better than that man.
I wouldn't.
You're saying TDK's the best ruck?
Right now, TDK is the best ruckman.
He's looking really good.
Most informed.
I love watching him, and he's dominating. And then I love when Callan lose, and he's stuck on a bench. And it's like, oh, perfect.
And I love when we play his brother and he's at our games.
Yeah,
it's really good.
My only thoughts is with TDK, right? I think this is where to segment back to him because he's the big one, right? He's the best player of these three.
Easily. Yeah.
Theoretically, next year, right? You get TDK in. Marshall goes forward. King's there. You got Sharman and Owens. That just also, again, the development of the others. It's a great spine, but again, the development of someone like Keeler, this is the year we sort of want to play him occasionally, give him 5 to 6 games throughout the year.
Yeah.
And then next year he almost solidifies his spot. If we bring in TDK, that just completely ruins that, unless Marshall theoretically gets traded.
That is the talking point a little bit. Someone brought that up.
I saw that, yeah.
And
I hate that.
And who would we get for him? I want to.
Who would he go to?
We're very much.
Marshall.
Geelong, give us.
Geelong want him. Geelong have wanted
Give us Max Holmes, please, Geelong.
Essendon wanted him, but Draper's still out of
I'd
contract.
take Zach Merritt.
They could go.
I'd take Zach Merritt.
I'd take Zach Merritt.
I'd take Hobbs too. Sardis.
I would not take Ben Hobbs.
Give me all your little young midfielders. We'll turn them into Sandy.
I remember someone in Hobbs' draft year. That was the year we drafted Naz. Someone was so mad we didn't. So Sin and Hobbs were the big ones we were linked to.
Oh, Sin's horrible.
Sin's bad.
He'll have 35.
Yeah, he was taking
this
watch this. Clip this. He's going to take the piss out against us this week.
Yeah.
35, 2 goals, and
this is off on a real tangent now.
Yeah.
But so Bergman's the other one. I've got him at 80%. To me, it's like TDK. He wants to play for St. Well, it's hard because people are saying TDK doesn't want to come. The money's too good.
No, he's lying.
Bergman wants to come to St Kilda. Bayside boy, carried over interest from 2023. And in our pitch to him, so we've already pitched to him. That was very quiet. No one knew that we had pitched to Bergman until, it was reported, that we offered him.
Yeah.
and the contract would be over $1 million, definitely at least to start it. And
That's
I can see
still
him
a
being in our
lot.
midfield. He's pretty fast and a good
Yeah.
kick. You look at our team, they're all fast and good kicks. The
Mhm.
players that we brought in the past couple of years. And it's just at 80 because he's not a free agent. We have
Okay.
to facilitate the trade. And
Yeah.
let's take Naz off the table. Let's say Naz
100%
resigns.
not going. 100%
I
Naz is
don't-
not
I'll
being
be
there.
100%.
100% Naz is staying.
Yeah, so in this scenario,
He looked good in that Port kit, just saying.
Naz,
shut up.
Naz stays. How do we get Bergman out of Port?
True.
Someone messaged me about it when the news came out. And I was like, Port are probably asking for a first.
They're not getting a first for him.
I'd say our starting off is a second and a third.
We need to trade for Gold Coast first, use that and get a second and back.
That is, it's a good idea.
That's because Gold Coast, again, have more players in this year's draft
Who else has
that are
a lot?
going
We-
to
well,
be involved.
We could trade for, actually, it won't work because Port aren't allowed to have their first round pick again. But I was going to say, we could trade for Port Adelaide's first from Gold Coast and give it back to them. But the AFL
No, you
doesn't
can't
let
because
that.
it's different years.
I don't know because when Neil Bullen requested
But
the
that
trade,
was a separate year. They traded away the pick for the Shane McAdam and then got it back because it was in different
no, it was
years.
a different pick.
No, it was the same pick.
Was it?
It was the same pick. It was just in a different year, so you can do it.
So we need a first.
Right.
Is what you're
Theoretically,
Maybe because
because it was their future pick, which then became the same pick that year.
it was a talking point this year. Last year. Something happened last year. Oh, do you guys
'Cause-
remember this? Someone was going to get a pick back they already had in the AFL. I was like, no, you can't do it.
Don't remember who it was.
No, but Melbourne
Mate.
got their pick back. Yeah.
Melbourne got their pick back
From-
last year because of the Neil Bullen.
Yeah.
And then they used that, I believe, to get the Essendon pick. That was involved
Melbourne's
in that.
got no picks this year. Just-
Yeah,
28.
yeah. But
Should we?
we've talked a lot.
Yeah. Should
Yeah.
we go on into a quick recap of smarter games that matter?
No,
So-
we're going to go straight
We're
to the
going
Port
straight-
Adelaide game.
okay.
Straight to the Port Adelaide game.
game.
We're a St Kilda podcast. We're talking about St Kilda.
Well, Port didn't look good
Well,
on
I-
Thursday night. So
I thought it was important
that's
to
the
talk
only
about
thing
that.
that matters.
They did not look good
Yeah.
at Marvel.
Mhm.
Wish we could be playing them at Marvel.
Well,
Oh.
come on, AFL, just give us.
3 weeks
Yeah.
in Adelaide in 5 games.
I'm feeling it. You know, Noosa Butler. We're about to see
Noosa
Adelaide
Butler.
Collard.
Adelaide Collard.
We are staying there the full 2 weeks.
Oh, we are.
We're
He's,
not
he'll
returning.
he'll
That's a
kick
big
8 in the
call.
next 2 weeks. What? What are you looking at?
So he's going to kick 8 against Port Adelaide and 0 against
No,
GWS.
no. yeah, sure. He's gonna kick 8 and then
Hey,
he's gonna drop him Butler.
If he kicks 8, he's going to win like the Rising Star just from that one game.
He's
fine.
he's eligible.
He is, isn't
We're
he?
like 4 players.
Aren't like all of our players eligible? Because
I'll
Keeler
tell you.
is
I'll
still.
tell you who is.
We've got-
Keeler is.
We've had 5 debutants, haven't we, this year already?
I've pre-made all the templates
Yeah, we have.
for him, so I'll tell you who they are.
Pre-made them all.
But okay,
Um,
we'll talk about Port Adelaide. They were horrible against Essendon on Thursday night or whatever it was. Like seriously horrible.
Yeah.
They just didn't look good. Georgiades started well, but couldn't get into the game after
Ben
the first
McKay was
quarter.
horrible.
Do you want every player who can win a Rising Star
Yes, please.
or get a nomination? So
Yes.
Ari Schoenmaker,
Yeah,
Lance Collard,
yeah.
Toby Travalia,
Mm.
Isaac Keeler, Angus Hasty, Alex Tyroo, Hugo Garcia, Hugh Boxall, Patrick Said. I think it said. Ross Lyon said, so.
Said.
Ben does
Yeah.
Ross. Hey, don't
What about said?
Shut up.
Dodson and Barat. So
Okay.
that's 11.
No Max Heath?
No, it's too old.
Oh, yeah.
I think
He's
probably
way
it's
too old.
21. You got to be 21.
is
You got to
he?
be under 21 and not played 10 games.
He hasn't played. He's probably
Max
gone.
Heath is way too old.
Yeah.
2002.
Yeah, he's already 23.
We drafted him
23.
mid-season. So
Yeah, was it
Yeah,
20?
So
Is
how-
him and Sharman.
we've got 11
that the same
players.
draft? Sharman's played
Mid-season.
50 games and
He hasn't debuted.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's okay.
So hold on. So we've got 11 players who can win the Rising Star.
Yeah.
Hugo, best 23. Angus Hasty, fringe.
Fringe.
Keeler, fringe.
I hope
Fringe.
Hasty
Collard
comes up.
Fringe.
Collard,
Fringe.
fringe. Travalia. Collard, you know what? Collard and Travalia.
If St Kilda are listening, I'd love some
Oh,
Lance
yeah.
Collard gear sent to me.
Yeah.
That'd be
St
great.
Kilda. Send us some stuff.
I'll get his face tattooed on me if I get some gear.
Give us some badges.
Should we preview next week's game now?
Yes.
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 Go on to it.
What are some key matchups do you guys think? Start in the back line.
So the Ollie Lord.
Start Ollie
Cameron
Lord
Eady
and
thing.
Georgiades.
Yeah, we
I
talked
said
about
that Wilkie needs to be on Georgiades. What are your thoughts? Because you also
Yeah.
got Willie Rioli, who's very dangerous.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, Rioli started in the midfield. last week.
Yeah, that did not
Did
work
he?
though, did it?
That didn't
Jeez.
work. He went to the first centre bounce.
Your first,
100%.
it looked weird.
My God.
He didn't.
He sniped a couple of blokes too.
He always does.
He's a
2018 grand final.
You send
Look at
Stocker
that.
to him and see what happens. He won't do it to Stocker.
No.
Yeah.
Stocker's history. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
But who goes to Mitch Owens? Port
I would have said Lockie Jones.
Port have a very weird.
Does Bergman sell the game?
Remember Port against the Bio where they all kick it into the line, bro? That's what Bergman's gonna do.
Bergman handball received in the Aztecs.
But yeah,
On Owens, it's a good question.
because I think Asava played his first game last week.
Yeah. Have they still got the Zerk Thatcher and Aaliyah?
He's 5 to 7 weeks, so Thatcher.
Oh, okay. So
he's out.
So Radaglia probably goes to Keeler, and then Ali goes to Sharman, I'd assume.
Higgins was on Aaliyah a lot last season when they played
Yeah,
against each other.
Yeah.
Higgins got suspended
Yeah.
for the dumping
So I
tackle.
don't
Oh, that
know
was so
if that's just
dumb.
a Higgins followed him around kind of thing.
A
or
little bit.
Maybe
Just to like maybe block out a little bit as much as he can. So
hear me out. If
Yeah.
Butler can play, can
Butler.
we bring in Butler to somehow eliminate Ali?
Nah.
Actually,
Sharman
no.
goes to him because
Yeah.
he's done the role before.
He's done it on Sicily really
Yeah.
well.
get Jaron Geary back as a forward tagger.
Jared Geary.
Get Gears down
I
there.
miss Gibbs.
I remember when he did that to Adam's side and he kicked 3 on him.
Maybe he's about
That
a match
was
from Caleb Daniel and
jokes.
Can we
Elam.
bring Gears? Is he at the Bulldogs right
Yeah,
now?
that's horrible.
Wow.
That's why
okay.
Caleb Daniel left, I heard. Because Gears is there. And he
What?
Already petrified. Okay.
Bro,
Let's
what?
play. Okay.
We can't
midfield-
go
mid-
with rumours on this
No.
podcast. Not like the Jamara stuff you were
Oh,
yapping about on
okay.
Zero Access
Hey,
footy.
it popped off.
I saw
But
the
midfield
comments.
battles. Midfield battles.
Who goes to
It's
McRae?
probably the key. McRae and probably Willem Drew,
Yeah.
I dare say.
Willem Drew
Oh.
wasn't tagging against Essendon.
No, that's a good point.
That's
but I
odd.
think they saw how good it was in the
Mhm.
first half.
Yeah.
Who goes to Rosie? Is it Steele?
If Butters doesn't play, it's Windhager.
Yeah, that's a good point. Allow Steele to play free.
Do we-
Yeah.
Do we put something to Horn Francis just because he
Stocker.
takes the piss out of us most weeks?
Stocker.
He hasn't played good,
Or-
but he'll
or-
bob up against us.
Or if he plays up forward, Wilkie goes to him.
Yeah, that's easy. So you won't get touched.
Yeah, exactly right. And then, we sort of talked about who goes to Higgins is another interesting
Who
one
cares? He's
because
kicking
Higgins
Who's
will
their
kick
small
5.
defender?
4. He's kicking 4. It doesn't matter. Nobody can go to him.
See, their team is...
It's so interesting.
It's just because of where they've... It's not even where they've lined him up. This is my big thing when teams were playing Hawthorn. I'm like, who goes to Nick Watson and stuff?
Yeah.
And like against
did go to
Carlton
Nick Watson?
and like no one because Carlton didn't have anyone.
Mm.
So I'm like, you look at Port's back 6 they named against Essendon.
Mm-hmm.
Sava Radaglia,
Yeah.
How did
Tall,
their Sandford go?
Alir,
Tall. But can play on smalls.
Josh Sin, Kane Farrell, Jace Burgoyne, Miles Bergman.
Kane Farrell just signed.
Bergman goes to Higgins.
They're all defenders.
Bergman might have to go on Owens.
It's such a weird lineup for them because they're all small
Yeah.
defenders who don't defend. Or like they defend, but like then that's not their role.
Finlayson played forward in the Sandford.
Yeah, maybe Finlayson comes in instead of Lord if he's not healthy. But again, Caminiti
Well,
goes straight to him.
Finlayson killed us in the
Nobody
That's
really.
a key defender.
Whoever, no
Fuck
offense
that
to
shit up.
Jack Watson, but whoever
That's
that is.
true. That's true.
Rory
Yeah.
Atkins is on that side. Forget about him. He had 24 in the Sandford this week.
Rory Atkins is not going to play.
I don't
He pays his manager real well.
I don't see them bringing anybody in from this. They lost by 10 goals to.
Okay, wow.
But they always, I don't know, it's a weird thing I noticed about their Sandford side. They always lose.
Are they really bad?
I think they were going to go under at one point.
Don't know.
Again,
That's a
they were
rumor.
gonna
That's a
go-
rumor.
No. That's not a rumor. That was reported on.
Jeez.
Don't I want to leave?
But
Sample.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah.
see some of it.
They were going to go under, so they were
Yeah,
wanting to leave the
okay.
Sandford
Yeah.
to come to other VFL.
interesting.
They should. It should be a
But-
reserves comp.
Yeah, it should be. But what are our actual predictions? Result
Here we go.
predictions for the game
Result.
this week?
Saints upset them. We win by. I'm going to say 13. We're going to win by
13 points. Okay.
a little sealer
Don't mind
from yours truly.
Lancey Collard.
Lancey Collard has a sealer. He's kicked his 6th of the day.
Hey, we were talking about the number 4's kicking 6 goals before.
Sure,
It's going to happen
it's a
again.
sign, it's a
It's going to
sign.
happen again.
Please, I'd love that. I'd come in Monday. Get a Lance Collard
Don't
top
come
somehow.
Monday.
What about you, Ben?
I think this is the Cooper Sharman breakout game.
Adelaide
I think,
boy.
yeah, Adelaide boy. There's no real proper matchup to him. Malia likes to play off of players.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's Sava Radaglia. So I think he kicks 5. Loves his set shots.
Kicks 5.
5.
So where?
I think we win by 2 points in a really close game. And Sam Powell-Pepper gets suspended 4 weeks. Those are my predictions.
He's a sniper
At
too,
the end
isn't
of
he?
the day, it is a Saints podcast. So
It is a Saints podcast.
You sort of have to tip St Kilda. I remember last year, umpiring was terrible up there. Like, it was like 33 to 8.
They get influenced by the crowd too much there.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
It always
Well, it's
happens,
scary
always happens
there.
with Adelaide
It is
as well.
scary up there. if you
Even,
go.
even North got a bit stiff this weekend.
Yeah.
Yes. Adelaide always gets it. Always.
We travel well, to be fair, so we might have a nice little fan base.
Yeah,
There.
we travelled
Yeah.
well. Got
I remember
battered by
last year it
60
was
points.
8 points, and we got screwed over by the umpires. So
Yeah.
Darcy Wilson got the Rising Star nominee that round.
We only lost by 8 last year
Yeah.
to him. There we go.
But yeah,
That's
so
when Higgins
anyway.
got suspended.
you know what? St Kilda win by 8 because we lost by 8 last time.
Yeah.
And well, you went Sharman, you went Collard.
Yeah.
That's not my actual prediction. I'll give it to him in a second. I'm not saying Collard's kicking 6.
Give it to me now because I got to look something up.
All right, so I think Jack McRae again, another 32, and here's a prediction that will happen. He'll kick his first goal as a Saint this weekend.
Ooh, love that.
Yep.
We had Riley Bonner playing last time we played them. That's fair enough. I
Yeah.
understand why they won.
Sinclair had 28 in the goal. Nas had 26.
Mhm.
Chase Burgoyne had 27 for them last year against us at Port, so we had to stop him a bit. Zach Butters won't play. Houston's
things
not
up.
playing.
Wrap things up.
Wrapping things up.
We got to wrap things up.
All right.
Let's wrap things up.
Stephen Milne kicked goal of the century against Port Adelaide. Jack Higgins will recreate goal of the century against Port Adelaide this
Love it.
week.
Love it.
That's my prediction.
There we go.
Okay. Awesome.
Alright, I think that's it.
Yep.
Follow on Spotify, review us on Spotify, give us 5 stars, subscribe and like on YouTube. And did you do that at 0 Access?
God, no.
That's what I thought.
We do worse at 0 access.
But yeah, thank you guys for listening all the way through. This was probably a bit longer than last time, but thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.